Hello everyone and welcome to Yorkshire Gamers monthly Wargames update on the old YouTubes. And today we are in November, so this is November 2021 Wargames update. We've got lots to go through today, not so many painted units as normal. We've got some new things into the house. We're getting prepped and ready for the Analog Hobbies Winter Paint Challenge. And if you've not listened already, the interview with Kurt Campbell from the challenge is on Podbean at the moment. And like I've asked on there, if any of you would care to nominate the podcast for the best podcast category in the Caesars Award, that would be absolutely fantastic. I think if we could get a nomination in our first year of going to air with the podcast, that would be a massive achievement. So I never ask any money from anyone. I never go for Patreon or anything like that. So if you've got a spare couple of minutes and it doesn't cost you out, just bob on to the www.caesarsawards.com and vote for your favourite. And obviously that's Yorkshire Gamer. So let's get cracking. Let's have a look at what we've painted this month. Here we go with the new stuff this month, and as we always do, the last month's in progress unit was these. This is some 28mm Tiger Miniatures World War One Turkish Cavalry, and they have been painted up for our Christmas game, which I hope is happening on the weekend of the 18th and 19th of December up here in Leeds, where we will be doing our usual World War One Mesopotamia game. And the one that we're doing has quite a bit of cavalry in it, so I've just been recruiting these and another unit you're going to see later on in the work in progress to bolster the ranks before the big game. These Tiger miniatures, we'll just zoom in and have a look at them in a bit more detail. Many of you probably haven't heard of Tiger Miniatures. They do a range of Balkans War soldiers, and that's sort of 1812, 1813, just before World War One. So a lot of the Serbian, Turkish troops, etc., will transfer across quite comfortably into World War One, and they are not massively detailed by any stretch of the imagination. They're quite basic figures by today's standard, but they do a job, and in a nice big 24 figure unit like this one, I think they've come out all right. They're not very highly detailed, which doesn't really fit my method of painting, but the faces come out quite nice, as you can see on there. And it doesn't really help that the World War One Turkish cavalry didn't have particularly exciting uniforms either. But yeah, I'm happy with them. Happy with them to put them on the table. And a unit of 24, 28mm cavalry is a rarity these days. We'll just finish off with them with another look at the unit as a whole. And bases are 50mm frontage by 60, which is my standard cavalry size, 2 figures per base. And en masse, pretty impressed with that. So I've got some more Tiger miniatures just to flesh out my Turks as well, and we'll have a look at those next. So staying with the World War One Turkish theme, I've got a couple of gun batteries here, again from Tiger Miniatures, and they were quite cheap compared to the Woodbine design figures that I normally buy. And as I was ordering the cavalry, I just thought, I'll have a couple of units of artillery, and just to add to the stuff that I've got. And the gun's 75mm Krupp gun, and the crew come in packs of 5 with a couple of ammunition crates, which you can see on the corner of the base, just to add to the picture of them. And again, I'll bring one close to the camera, get some light on it, and my matte varnish hasn't fully matted on this, so I'll give them some more matte varnish shortly. But again, as with the gun's quite detailed, but with the figures, again, quite basic compared to other manufacturers, but they do a job in an area that is very difficult to get figures for. So happy with that. They are painted up, and I'm going to use those at the weekend at Steel Lard, which will be over by the time that this video comes out. In fact, there might be a in the front line little section on the game that I put on there. Well, these will be in action there, so straight onto the table from being painted. I've added a little more to my Team Yankee stuff as well, and helicopters this month, and we've got 2 Hinds here, painted up in Syrian colours. I was going to do my own decals for these, but I managed to find some at Pendragon. They've got quite a wide selection of different decals from all over the world on there, and I managed to pick up some Syrian decals from them at Fiasco, which was lovely. And I've nicknamed these 2 helicopters the McDonald's brothers, and I put it on Twitter and absolutely nobody got it. So if you look at the markings on the helicopter furthest away from the camera, that is EIE, and the one nearest is EIO. So maybe now you understand why I've nicknamed them McDonald's brothers. But they're lovely helicopters. I was thinking about doing solid discs, but you know me and modelling, I just really can't be bothered most of the time. So I'll bring this one closer to the camera. Very, very nicely detailed, these. Been using the panel washes that I was talking about in previous episodes, just to bring out that extra bit of detail on the side. That contrast really makes them, I think pop is the way the American calls them. And then I've done a new way of doing cockpits this time round. I'll just put that down and just see if we can show the effect. Yeah, so I've used a dark Prussian blue to paint over the canopies, and then covered them in the dark panel wash that I use on the rest of the areas, it's recessed areas on the model. And then I've just used a little cotton bud, obviously with a cardboard tube, doing a bit for Planet in Yorkshire, and just cleaned off the highest parts of the window just to give a little bit of a effect. I quite like that. I've always done my windows in black in the past and never been particularly happy with them, but this dark blue darkened effect with the enamel wash I'm quite enamoured with. So there we go, there's 2 Syrian Hinds. Just 2 more figures to have a look at before we go. So here's the second 2 helicopters, and these are AH-1 Vipers, not Cobras, Vipers, from the Israeli Air Force, as you can see. And quite nicely, the Israeli Air Force liked a picture of these that I put up on social media, so I must have done them right. Again, they are done with the panel wash, which really works on these, especially when you've got the decals on first and then you do the panel wash over the decals. It really blends them into the model rather than having them sticking out over the top. I've seen some lovely tanks and stuff done over the years, fantastically weathered, and then a bright decal over the top that just looks like it's completely fresh. So I'm really happy with the way that the decals have blended into the model on these. Cockpits again done with that very dark blue with the black enamel panel wash over the top, wipe clean on the highlights, and again that works really well. These are particularly nice, I have to say, and look particularly menacing from the front. A fat lad's not going to get in there, is he? You're not going to be eating fish and chips every day of your life and manage to pilot one of these. Look on the other side as well, similar. So I'm very happy with those, and we had another playtest of Team Yankee again over the weekend, which will appear in the frontline part of this video, and all 4 of these helicopters got shot down. So in typical fashion, anything new to the table gets shot down or destroyed. So that's it for new stuff this month. Let's have a look at Work in Progress. So here we are with this month's Work in Progress, and I mentioned them earlier on. These are some 28mm World War One Indian cavalry, and I've talked about these before. I think I've painted a unit of these before, which have been on the monthly updates, and these are from New Line Designs, and New Line Designs are probably better known for their 20mm ranges, and hidden away on their website, if you look really hard, you will find a very small range of 28mm Indians for very just pre-war, so post-Boer War, maybe around that period, and they fit in perfectly for World War One, especially for Mesopotamia. And apart from Brigade Games, who I would love to have some of their stuff, but unfortunately there's no UK distributor at the moment. This is my only option for World War One Indian cavalry, and as I say, I've already got a unit 24 of these. And you've caught me right at the start of painting these. I've done nothing other than the horses, and you probably saw me paint these horses in June or July in one of the massive batches of oil painted horses that I did, and they've sat in this box for 6 months waiting for me to get around to painting them. In fact, there's a bit of dust on these lads if we look at them. So yeah, you can see where the dust just cleaned off there where I rubbed my finger over it. So they're going to get painted up very soon. And I have brought one base from the unit I've already painted, just so you can see what we're going to expect. So there we go, there's a close-up on one of the bases that I finished last year of these Indian cavalry. Again, similar to the Tiger miniatures in that they're fairly basic in their design. There's just a couple of poses that are available, and they've got the, I think it's a 1903 bandolier ammunition pouches across the chest, which kind of allows them to be used in World War One. A lot of the Afghan war stuff and Boer War stuff probably just misses out on that particular piece of equipment, which then means that they don't really fit into that time period. But these are perfect for World War One, and plain uniform again, so I'm not expecting it to take ages for me to paint these. It's just a case of cracking on through them and getting them done in time for our Christmas game. So there we go, that's Work in Progress. It's going to be an interesting month because we are building up, as I'm sure you're aware, to the start of the Analog Hobbies Painting Challenge, and I am planning to do a lot of Italian Wars of Independence, the Risorgimento, which you've seen lots of stuff coming in over the last few months, and you'll see some more in the new stuff very shortly. And I've built up a nice big stock of that. They're all going to get primed, so this month really is about priming figures. It's about getting figures built and made up and ready to go for the paints to start flowing on the 21st or 20th of December, can't remember. And I've just interviewed Kurt Campbell for the Yarkshire Gamers Elite Big Wargames podcast. So if you haven't already, pop along and have a listen to that, and have a listen to lots of the other interviews with all the other guests. So that's this month's Work in Progress. Let's have a look what we've bought. How much? So here we go again with our look at the new stuff into Yorkshire Gamer, and I went to the Fiasco show in between this and the last episode, and put a game on, and I didn't really buy much, so but at the start of the month I ordered some more stuff for Team Yankee, just keep it growing. And first up is these. A Spandrel anti-tank platoon from the Russians. Now, I'm not sure, and if anybody does know, please put in the comments, but I don't think the Syrians got Spandrel until the early 90s, and I'm looking at 1980 to 1985, so I'm probably going to have to convert these to Saga, which is a different missile and had like a canopy, and the missiles were strung underneath the canopy. But if anyone does know, please let me know. They are in the Team Yankee game for Iraq, but it doesn't mention Syria in there. So any Syrian specialists out there, if you can tell me when Spandrel got into Syria, I'd be very grateful. Google Foo is a bit it's not brilliant. The earliest I found is the early 90s, so I'm happy to be told that, and then I'll just change the missile launchers on these to Saga. So I got those three Spandrels, and then as our journey into the rules progresses, we're going to need some artillery. So I have bought an Israeli battalion or battery, can't get my words out, of these guys. 105, 109 field artillery, American basically. I have been looking to get some 2S3s, 2S2s, Russian artillery, self-propelled 122s or 152s. I can't find them anywhere in the UK. There seems to be a massive lack of Team Yankee stuff to buy at the moment, both for the main game and for Oil War particularly. I can't find stuff anywhere, and I've scoured the internet and bought all over the place to get the stuff that I have got. Maybe it's stuck on a pallet on a ship somewhere. Hopefully they're not giving up on it, and we'll be able to get some more stuff fairly soon. So that's the Team Yankee stuff that I've bought. Whilst I was at Fiasco, I only bought two things, and it's some more of the Perry's French Franco-Prussian War artillery. This time I managed to pick up two firing pieces to go along with the two loading pieces that I picked up from Partisan. And these are, the French uniform was effectively exactly the same as the Papal one. So these will form part of my Papal artillery for the Risorgimento. And speaking of which, I've been back onto my old mate Jed at Gringo 40 and picked up some more figures for the upcoming Risorgimento project. First up, we've got these, which are 28mm Bersaglieri. And as always with these figures, they're absolutely superb. Really, really nice castings, great faces, lots of lovely detail. Big, quite very big, but yeah, I like those. And these are going to form part of a unit that fought for Garibaldi, the Milan unit, and they had some Bersaglieri in their ranks, and these were in an all green uniform with red piping, so that's going to be quite a nice looking unit when I get around to doing those. So I've got 16 of those to form 8 skirmish bases, and then nothing really new with these. You've seen some of these before. I've bought some more, again Gringo 40. These are the Garibaldi red shirts, and very similar to American Civil War in the way that they look. Nicely sculpted, as I've said many times before. These are going to paint up great, and I've just bought another infantry unit of 24 figures. So I think I've got 6 or 7 Garibaldi units now. And then finally, I've been waiting for these for ages from Gringo 40, and Jed, bless him, he knew I wanted them and he put them to one side and said, Ken, I've got some Papal cavalry, do you want any? So I've got 12 Papal dragoons for the Risorgimento, and I'll just get him into my hand and shed some light on him. So aren't they lovely? Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? Completely useless in this time frame, but a unit of 12 Papal dragoons is going to go down really, really well. So that is going to be my super special unit when I come to painting and starting the Analog Hobbies Winter Paint Challenge in a month's time. So we've we've had a look at what's coming new. Let's have a look at what we've done gaming wise this last month. The first game to feature on From the Front Line is once again the Battle of Fornovo, and we've seen this on here a couple of times, but this one was done at the Wargames show at Leeds, Fiasco, and there's a few live pictures here of the game in progress. We didn't do a lot of playing, so there's no result to give. We spent a lot of time talking to members of the public, explaining the game, chatted about the rules, and generally having a really good time. There was only 2 of us on the game as well, which was really big, so that slowed things down. And this final picture just shows a banner that one of the regulars made for me for the game, which was absolutely fantastic. Of the 3 games to talk about this month, we've just got one in the Yorkshire Gamer HQ, and that's this one, and pretty similar to a game that we played last month, and this is our Team Yankee World War III Arab-Israeli 1985 mashup, where we are currently playing around with the Team Yankee rules just to see whether they will fit in with our gaming here. So let's pick the camera up and have a bit of shaky cam and have a look at the battlefield. So looking at the table itself, it's just a very basic setup. We've only played on 8x6. I've got piles of stuff on the other part of the table at the moment, and I've just put some dry waddy beds out, some rough ground, some hills, just set up just to have an encounter game, just to test out rules, etc. So no great schemes here, no magic scenarios like we normally play. This was just get stuff on the table and get it shot and see what happens. So if we're looking down the Syrian lines, we've got T62s, T62Ms, T64s, and we're finding that the Merkavas are very powerful and are causing a lot of casualties to the Syrians. And this is all a great learning process, because what this is doing is this is enabling us to work out scenarios that are more balanced and situations that we can get a decent game from. And then at the end there of the Syrian lines, we have got 2 Hinds. I'm really proud of those. They've come out really well. And if you look really closely at the 2 tail markings, I've nicknamed these the McDonald brothers, because we've got EIEIO. I put it on Twitter, but nobody got it. Well, there we go. And nothing on the left flank of the Syrians. So, just in the middle, this was all set up. We had a gentleman's agreement that we wouldn't shoot at each other's APCs so that we could get an infantry battle in the middle. And that was very useful. We tried out assault rules, we tried out melee rules, infantry rules, and we tried out artillery rules, all just because we allowed that infantry to get in the middle there. So that's a bit of a setup. I think when you look back here with all the tanks around, those APCs wouldn't have got that far forward. But let's go and have a look at the Israeli side. So on the Israeli left flank, we've got some Magak 6 tanks and my lovely new Vipers, AH-1 Vipers they're called, variant of the Cobra. All 4 helicopters were shot down in this game, by the way. If anyone else has played Team Yankee, the shulkers do seem to rip new holes in helicopters, especially with our new range rules. So that's something that we'll play with over forthcoming games, but it was just nice to get the new helicopters on the table. In the centre, we've got a troop of Merkavas on that hill there. They are so much better than everything else on the table. T64s are the only match anywhere near, and as you can see in the distance, the burning hulks of Syrian tanks. If you've watched Valley of Tears on More 4, if you're in the UK, fantastic Israeli mini-series. I'm up to episode 3, but the end of the first episode, the Israeli Centurions firing at the Syrian tanks coming onto them and their hill positions at the Golan Heights, then this is exactly what it looked like. So there we go. Other side of the infantry combat now. There's the Israeli 113s. Obviously, as I said earlier on, with gentlemanly agreement that just so we could try the infantry rules. Group of Merkavas pushing forward to the oasis there. And then at the back of the hill, we've got some more Magaks and the Pereths and the one Israeli loss, which was a Shilka that got spandrelled from a hind. So the Israelis did extremely well in this game. But it was fun, and we're kind of at a position now where I'm going to do a load more Syrians, and we're going to try a big game down at the club. I think is probably the way forward with this. Work out some scenarios, play some games without Merkavas, and just see how we get on. So that's the progress on our modern Arab-Israeli stuff. Just a little bit of a word about how we are playing Team Yankee. I've put a blog post up and I've done a bit of write-ups here and there, but I don't think I've put anything on YouTube yet. I will do when we get to the point where we're actually fully playing games with changed rules. Those of you who play Team Yankee will know it's an I go, you go set of rules. That's something that we're not fans of here. But we didn't want to ditch the rules and the fantastic cards that you get with them. I mean, these are lovely, fantastically produced. So I really want to try and get a game that we're happy with using these cards. So we've started down that road, and as I say, the journey into that is on the blog. But what we're using instead of I go, you go activation is a card activation system, very similar to our Two Fat Laddies inspired games. And so all I've done is I've made a set of cards, and all this is a playing card that you can get really cheap off eBay. And I have printed out these wonderful logos. Thanks very much to Steve Swift, from a regular here at Yarkshire Gamer. He's put together this World War III Team Yankee logo with the Yorkshire rose instead of the American flag, which is absolutely fantastic. And each one of these is a section or a troop or a platoon of vehicles, and very simply, you draw that, and that unit goes first. We've not played with these yet because I haven't painted them. So the Israeli artillery would go and do theirs, and then Syrian anti-tank would go, and then Israeli aircraft would turn up, etc. Syrian mech infantry, Syrian recce, Israeli recce, and that's how it goes through. So the card comes out, T-72s, they would move, they would fire, they would do their entire move as they would do in an I go, you go situation. But that's it. They then stop. You don't go on and do the rest of your units. You just play with that unit. And then when that unit is finished, another card is drawn, and T-55s would go next. And that's how it works. Very, very straightforward. It does considerably change the dynamic of the game because you need to plan and think ahead, and you're not doing everything that you want to do in the order that you want to do it. So it's not for everyone. Appreciate that, but that's how we're going to game it here. And as soon as we started doing that, and as soon as we changed the ranges, then it all dropped into place for us. Because at the moment with Team Yankee, and again I've talked about this on the blog, a Syrian vehicle tank, maximum range 32 inch, which is miles too small for a big table. So we've just simply extended that by range bands of 16. So you're already on a +1 in Team Yankee, under 16, and then up to a maximum range of 32. So we've just added range bands on of 48, 64, etc., with +1 to hit on each range band above. And then if you've got a laser rangefinder, you get a free range band, so you don't start getting a +1 until 32 to 48. Sounds a little bit complicated, but it really isn't. It's very, very straightforward. and we've done exactly the same for the Israeli stuff, but their base range bans are in 20s, just to give them that little bit of extra advantage that they had in distance firing in the original rules. There's been some very, very upset people on the Facebook, on the Team Yankee page, but I don't know what the gripe is. They just don't like change, I don't think. But this is the way that we want to play it. We want to play Team Yankee when we want to enjoy Team Yankee. We love the models, we love the presentation of it, and we want to play the game for us in our location. We're not going to be playing competitions with this. We're not going to go down to stores and inflict our changes on anyone else. But I know there are people out there who've looked at Team Yankee and turned it down, or they're struggling with it, and this might help them. And if it does, brilliant. If 10 people in the entire world started playing Team Yankee like this, we would be happy, because those 10 people are enjoying it, and that's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoying the game, not slagging everyone else off. So, there we go. That was one of our games this month. The final game I'm going to talk about this month is this one, and we attended Steel Lard in Sheffield at the weekend, and I put on this big game of If the Lord Spares Us, which is one of the two Fat Lardy games that we play every Christmas with our World War One Mesopotamia collection. We had a great time. We had loads of people joining the game in the morning and afternoon session, and it's on the Turkish attack on the city of Kut on Christmas Eve 1915, and I'll put a link in the notes for this, so you can have a look at the details of the battle if you want to. And we introduced a lot of people to big gaming, which is what we're all about here, and had a fantastic time down in Sheffield, and hopefully we'll get invited back next year and do another one. Back again with the highly professional setup, obviously. And just very quickly, I do like, actually, I watched a video back from May, and although this is just a fleeting thing for me during these videos, it was very interesting to see how far we've come since May this year. So that's what it's for. It's all for me, and I'm sure everyone switches off at this bit anyway. So Facebook up 9, nice and steady away. I think people have kind of stopped following people on Facebook, and this new thing with you have to have a business page rather than a personal page, and some places won't let you follow with a business page, and it's not a business page, it's a hobby blog page. But anyway, there we go, Facebook for you, taking over the world, innit? Twitter's up 44, creeping up towards 2,000. Insta bubble slightly burst on 128. I've been getting 200, 300, 400 for the last few months, but I God knows, 2,853 followers on Insta seems mad, absolutely mad, for a bloke in his 50s painting toy soldiers who's got no idea what Instagram's supposed to do. So what can I say? Thank you very much. YouTube's 1203, another 39.40 last month. Nice and steady away on there. Considering now really all I'm putting on there are these posts and the audio visual version of the podcast. I'm quite happy with that. And podcast steady away, up 6 again to 152. I'd like to see that grow, obviously. And I did a bit of begging earlier on for people to nominate us for the Little Wars Caesar Awards this year, and I'm sure if we get on there, that would be a massive amount of publicity and get us a few more followers and join Yorkshire Gamer Club. So there we go. I'm going to give a little shout out to, although he doesn't need it, to Von Ketteringham. If you don't follow him, get down there and follow him. Fantastic lad, and he's been on the podcast, episode 6, and he's just renovated some of Peter Gilder's former gendarmes. So pop down and have a look at those. So there we go. All in all, quite a busy month. 3 games reported on, a couple of 3 new units, and all the prep going on for the paint challenge. I need a rest, and this next month coming up to December, the challenge starts on December the 20th, 21st. So I'm going to be doing a lot of prepping for that, so maybe not so much painting this month. There'll be some last minute panic purchases coming in to get the challenge ready to go. So I hope you enjoy your gaming this month. Be nice to each other in the comments out there. There's been a couple of instances with people I know recently where people have got on the nasty side, and there really is no need for it in this hobby. Generally, social media wise, wargaming is such a cracking place to be, and don't you be the one to make it any worse. And I'm pretty sure that everyone who listens and watches to Yorkshire Gamer are positive contributors to the Wargames hobby. So look after yourselves, enjoy your gaming, and I'll see you in December.